More than a year and a half since the initial outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic resulted in unprecedented international travel restrictions, some of the last holdouts in reopening their borders has been countries in Southeast Asia. While international flights do operate for repatriation and cargo purposes, for the most part the borders have remained closed. However, now in an effort to jumpstart economies in the region, there is a new push to jumpstart international travel bound for these countries. Before this was going on, there has been some domestic travel boost with the easing of interstate travel, so for this video, I'll be focusing on the reopening of international borders for these countries. The first country I will be highlighting is Thailand, which earlier this year reopened the resort island of Phuket to foreign tourists. As part of the Phuket Sandbox project, foreign visitors who have been vaccinated could land in Phuket, and then staying there for 7 days could then transfer to other parts of Thailand, provided a negative COVID-19 test result. After the start of the Phuket Sandbox scheme, Thai government officials are now considering moves to reopen the kingdom for more international travel. Recently, in a televised broadcast, Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has directed government agencies to initiate a reopening for low-risk countries for travel starting November 1st. The plan will allow for vaccinated tourists to arrive in the country quarantine-free, provided they take a COVID-19 test before departure and upon arrival in the country. Among the low-risk countries identified include Singapore, Germany, China, and the United States. And according to Prime Minister Chan-o-cha, more countries will be added to the low-risk list by December 1st. The next country I will be highlighting is Singapore, which has opened the country to an extent for travelers from Brunei and Germany under its vaccinated travel lane scheme. Recently, the Red Dot has expanded the list of countries to up to 14 countries that will be covered under the vaccinated travel lane scheme, which allows vaccinated travelers to enter the country, provided they have remained in the country of origin for at least 14 days, take a VTL-designated flight, and take COVID-19 tests prior to departure and upon arrival at Changi Airport. Starting October 19, the countries that have been added to the VTL list include Canada, Denmark, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, United Kingdom, and the United States. Following the addition of those countries, South Korea will be added to the list on November 15. Following Singapore and Thailand, the next country I will be focusing on is Indonesia, and while the country is not going to be open fully yet, the Indian government is eyeing the reopening of the popular resort island destination of Bali in mid-October. Unlike Thailand and Singapore, which are their recently introduced schemes that would offer quarantine-free travel, travelers bound for Bali from select countries will still need to quarantine for at least 8 days in the island. These are just some examples of the reopening schemes that have been publicized by the Southeast Asian nations. Meanwhile, in countries such as Malaysia and the Philippines, we are seeing discussions to reopen borders, where in the Philippines they are considering a color list for arrivals depending on the country. Then we have Vietnam, which is planning to schedule to receive visitors with a vaccine passport on a trial basis in November, before planning a full reopening for international tourism by the summer of 2022. Meanwhile, the Vietnamese government also made plans to reopen the island for foreign tourists. Those plans have reportedly been pushed back due to the failure to meet the vaccination targets of residents. From the Southeast Asian nations, we are seeing the shift to learn to live with COVID, knowing that it's going to be around with us regardless of what we do. And now more than ever, while there is caution regarding COVID, there is a much pressing concern to help support the local economies which have been battered, especially that are very dependent on foreign tourism, especially like the likes of Bali, Phuket, and Phuket. For the many stakeholders in the tourism economies in these countries, including the airlines, both legacy and budget carriers alike, while domestic travel has provided a stop-loss for the airlines and the stakeholders, the reopening of the countries for more international travel cannot come soon enough. Before closing, this is the information based on the current reports as of publishing this video. If you are starting to make any travel arrangements, I suggest to take a look at the updated entry requirements for each country mentioned here. The situation is still subject to change, so those things you must take a look at on your own. In the meantime, I definitely hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Flights in Asia. highlighting the news and updates from the aviation and travel scene in the Asia Pacific. Thank you for watching and have a great day.